Okay, in this video / audio recording, I want to go over some information that pertains to the fallen watchers, the fallen angels mentioned in Genesis chapter 6, verses 2 and 4. There are many out there that are not aware that these angels originally were sent to earth in order to help humanity, not to corrupt it. But unfortunately, these angels spent too much time on earth, and they slowly and surely began to corrupt themselves with all the grievous sins that you could read about in this book here called the Book of Jubilees. The Book of Jubilees was originally part of the older ancient canons from back in the day, and it wasn't until our day and age that this book resurfaced once again after being removed from canon for a very long time. Now, people want to look into this book just as much as they want to look into the Book of Enoch as well as the Book of Jasher. These three books I just mentioned were all part of the original canons from ancient times. Now we're going to turn our focus to this 4th chapter and 15th verse of the Book of Jubilees, where it states that it was in the days of Jared, a descendant of Adam, that the angels of heaven came to earth. The group of angels called the Watchers. They went to earth in order to teach humanity how to establish righteousness on the earth. So this group of angels did not come to earth immediately to start causing trouble. No, it took a while before they fell, you see. And these angels originally came in the days of Jared. They were on earth in the times of Enoch and the days of Noah. I read in another source that this group of angels was boasting, if not bragging, that if they went to earth, that they wouldn't succumb to the temptations that humanity faces from day to day. They were stating that if they went to earth, that they wouldn't fall into sin, which mankind has a tendency to fall into from time to time. So they were confident in their abilities. They were confident in their angelic bodies. They are angels after all. They figured if they went to earth that behaving wouldn't be a problem for them. But they had to find out the hard way. Despite all their persuasiveness to come to earth, it was told to them that they shouldn't because earth would prove a snare to them. But they were insistent, so they were allowed to go to earth and to, try earth for themselves and find out that it was no cakewalk. Now keep in mind, this group of watchers, angels, is not the group of angels that followed Lucifer in his rebellion. This is another group of angels, okay? And this group of angels might have even helped during the war in heaven against Lucifer and his angels, but unfortunately, this group of angels likewise succumbed to life on earth. Now, I'm going to show you some verses that are going to show us what sins did these group of angels commit that got them in trouble. Okay, let's turn our attention over to this 5th chapter of the Book of Jubilees. If you read Jubilees chapter 5 verses 1 through 11, you'll understand what the Watchers did that got them in trouble. At this point in time, the Watchers had already been on the earth for a while now, and here you can read about how they began to fall apart. Jubilees 5:1 says that they began to sleep with earthly women, and this union brought about offspring for these fallen watchers that were giants. So they produced hybrid offspring that were giants. It also says in the next verse that lawlessness increased on the earth. All flesh corrupted their ways, their odors, from men to cattle, beasts, birds, you name it. Everything that walked on the earth at that time was corrupt. And it says that they began to devour each other. Cannibalism. So the fallen watchers brought about all these curses on humanity, the animals, and themselves. At this point, they had become complete and total reprobates. They were given over to an alienated reprobate mind. And if you read the rest of the verses, it talks about the fallen angel's folly. So yeah, they were devouring each other, cannibalism, vampirism, blood drinking. It wasn't the first time that this was introduced. This was going on even before these times. If you read Genesis chapter 3, the serpent was accursed to eat dust. Who is made out of dust? Man. So these fallen watchers and their offspring were accursed with the same curses that the serpent received in Genesis chapter 3. So yes, everything on the earth began to disintegrate. Lawlessness increased. Every imagination of everyone at that time was continually evil. So the Almighty looked on the earth, and behold that everything was corrupt. All flesh had corrupted their orders, meaning there was a lot of DNA mixing back in the day. Angels mixing with mankind, mankind mixing with animals, animals probably mixing with fallen angels, who knows? So yes, everything had to be destroyed and cleansed. It was only Noah that found grace before the eyes of the Almighty. He wasn't corrupt like everyone else in regards to his genetics. Yes, and the angels whom were sent on the earth, they got in trouble. The Almighty was very angry with them because they were sent to help humanity, not to corrupt it. So he gave out a command to have them rooted out of their dominion, and he bade his righteous angels to put a beat down on them and to bind them in the depths of the earth. And as far as their sons went, their demonic children, yes, the fallen watchers were cursed with having demonic children, reprobate children. And it was commanded that their children should be destroyed from off the face of the earth and be smitten with the sword, because they weren't ordinary children. You know, a lot of people give the Heavenly Father and His Son a hard time in the Old Testament because they think that Israel was warring with ordinary people, humans, when in reality a lot of them were mixed with the residue of these fallen watchers and their offspring. Okay, so they weren't normal humans. They might have looked human on the outside, but once they left these bodies of flesh and blood, they were shown for what they are. Grotesque looking creatures like that you would see in a horror movie. So yes, it was commanded that their sons be destroyed. It also says here that humanity lost a few years along the way. They used to live like about 1,000 years or so, and it was reduced greatly. So yeah, he sent a sword in the giant's midst, and he had them destroy one another. And their fathers, the fallen watchers, were witness to their destruction. And then they themselves were bound in the depths of the earth. So yeah, basically they got their ass kicked along with their children. And they're awaiting the great day of judgment. So yes, all their places were destroyed. They were rooting out all these wicked watchers and their offspring. So there was none of them left that wasn't judged according to their wickedness. So the good angels were laying the smackdown on them, basically. And you can read on in other extra biblical sources about the fallen angels' stupidity, if you care. One of those sources would be the Book of Enoch. It gives us a lot more details than what we're reading here. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to share with you what these watchers were involved in that caused them to fall. You see, originally they were on earth. They were hanging tough for a while, but eventually they succumbed to the trials and tribulations that mankind faces in this earth. So anyways, that's it for this video. I hope it was enlightening and informative. As always, nothing but love, continue in the faith. All glory and praise to the Heavenly Father and His Son. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Shalom.